What's up, good people, and welcome back to another Morning Money Motivation. Very excited today because today I want to talk about how being accountable can shape your financial situations, your health situations, and your freedom. Hey, stick around because we're going to get into our affirmations. But first, I just wanted to talk to you about this subject because I think it's one that's very important and it's going to be very helpful for you going forward. Being accountable is one of those things that we often think about in a negative way or in a negative light. But I want to show you how being accountable can be just the opposite of that. You know, being accountable for your actions and really taking ownership of your actions in a way that will allow you to flourish with money, prosper with your health, prosper with everything that you set out to do just by being accountable. And it starts early. If you can start out on an early path of being accountable. And when I mean of being accountable, I don't mean being down on yourself. I don't mean, taking the hit whenever there's, anything going on wrong and, getting down on yourself and feeling bad about the situation that you're in. That's not what I mean. What I mean is really being able to be comfortable with your decisions and be comfortable with the things that you set out to do and the outcomes of the things that actually happen. See, that's the trick. A lot of times we set out to do things and, we're very excited about the path that we're going to go on. We're very excited about the possibilities of what's going to happen. But where we get tripped up is, we're not prepared for if it doesn't go well. We're not prepared for if we get into trouble or we get into financial trouble while we're doing what we're doing, or, if we just go off the rails with our health, if we go off the rails with, our mental state, if we go off the rails in any capacity, we're not comfortable with those outcomes. And that's really where being accountable and really pushing your accountability at the forefront of what's happening really does help propel you forward. Because when you're accountable, there are two things that happen. One, you're taking responsibility for the actions so that you can change them if they are, rendering a negative result. And the other thing is that you're able to see a path different than what has happened, because you're acknowledging that, I did something wrong, so let me pivot to something else. Because when you don't do that, when you don't hold yourself accountable for your actions and are comfortable with outcomes, what happens is you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. And I know a lot of us have been there. I've been there myself where, I want to get to a certain place and I may enter into a path of doing that. And because I'm not holding myself accountable for certain things within that journey, I'm just doing the same thing over and over and over again and hoping for a different result. And, someone said it best, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and wishing for a different result. It just doesn't happen. So you have to be able to hold yourself accountable for what is actually happening and be comfortable with it. Be comfortable with, the milestones of failure, and so to speak, that you might enter into, or, what you may think is a failure really becomes a learning opportunity and really helps to propel you forward really quickly. But you have to be comfortable with holding yourself accountable. It really takes effort to do that sometimes, because oftentimes we're taught to, try to win at all costs or try to be on top at all costs. And sometimes that behavior really teaches you to not fail and not be comfortable with, failure and the outcomes that come out of failure and the things that come out of failure. So in your mind, you're thinking, oh no, I'm always going to win. I'm a winner because, I'm accepting the win. Even though I may have done something that wasn't completely right, I'm still putting myself on this pedestal because I'm not holding myself accountable for the failure. And you have to do that. You have to be comfortable and hold yourself accountable for the mistakes you make. especially when you're dealing with money and your health. You have to be able to hold yourself accountable for those things, because oftentimes they are very immediate. You may do something and you'll see the immediate result or see the immediate negative thing that it's rendering, and if you aren't able to say, you know what, I did something wrong, let me change up what I'm doing, you'll go deeper and deeper down a path that you don't want to go down. So really being accountable is really laying the groundwork for success in a lot of ways if you can hold yourself accountable. So how do we do that? How do we hold ourselves accountable for in any situation, and begin to shape that type of future for ourselves? One of the things that I've learned is that if you do look at what is happening on a smaller scale, if you say, whenever I do something, I'm going to make a conscious effort to say, you know what, whatever this outcome is going to be, I'm going to take responsibility for this, and really start to shape that muscle in your life. Whatever it is, whatever you set out to do, make that conscious effort even before you get started, to say, you know what, I'm going to take responsibility for this, for whatever the outcome is of this. And just speaking that into existence will allow you to start to be comfortable with those outcomes. So that's one way to really just get started in doing that. And as you go down that path of, constantly, putting yourself in a position to be accountable for those things, you'll start to see those things change. You'll start to see your ability to change the outcomes, because you're changing the behavior. You're changing all of the behavior that leads up to that. For instance, if you make a poor money decision or make a poor financial decision, and you immediately say, you know what, I was wrong. I was wrong. I need to look at that differently. What that's going to do is, instead of you doing that again, it may have been a spending issue where you were spending money, unwisely or something like that, or even a credit card issue where you spent money on your credit card that you couldn't afford. Once you acknowledge that thing that you're saying, that's wrong, I made a mistake, I'm going to now pivot away from that and do something different. Just that basic acknowledgement and action after allows you to move to a different space. And I know it seems sometimes counterintuitive, especially when you're in a lot of trouble. If you get yourself in a lot of trouble and you feel like, oh man, I'm never going to get out of this trouble if I take responsibility for that. And that is a thing. It does seem like that sometimes when you have done something that is completely off script, or done something that is, taking you down a path of just, oh man, I'm just in so much trouble. I may be in so much debt. I'm so much off of my weight. Whatever that thing is that you have done, you have to know that the first step to changing that, the first step to bettering yourself in that situation and getting out of that situation, is really the acknowledgement and taking responsibility for that thing. Okay, let's get into our affirmations real quickly and just use these throughout today to help move your day forward. I can accept when I have done something wrong. I can and will take responsibility for what I do. I will hold myself accountable and move forward. I hope this was helpful to someone, and until we talk again, I wish you health, wealth, and freedom.